Best in Blue.
Connecting you, the listener, to the everyday inner workings of the Memphis Police Department.
Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
You're listening to Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network. I am DC, the host of this wonderful program. And guess what? We got dialogue with the director. That's right, Mike Rallings, the director of the Memphis Police Department. And he is going to take us on a little trip. We're going to talk a lot about things that are happening in our nation, as well as our city regarding policing, and how he and his department addresses that. Is that right, folks? And we want you to be right here with us. In case you miss any of our shows, make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn app, or your favorite podcast provider. That's right here on Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Best in Blue. Let's get connected.
Neighborhood Connect.
A renowned author, Mr. Preston Lauterbach.
Welcome.
Thank you. I never get tired of the word renowned attached to it. That works.
You are certainly renowned on some of the things that have happened in this community, and so we're glad to have you on the show today.
Well, it's a healthy addiction, I think.
Neighborhood Connect.
Neighborhood Connect.
Here at KUDZUKIAN. Best in Blue.
Hi, this is Lee Recruiter with the Memphis Police Department, Officer Kevin Moore. Join the Best in Blue. Our requirements are achievable. Our standards are the highest. Our officers are the finest. We are the Best in Blue. Join MPD.com.
Best in Blue.
This is Sergeant Milton Bonds with the Memphis Police Department Sex Crimes, Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and you're listening to the Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
You're listening to Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network. I am DC, the host of this wonderful show, and I'm sitting in with my original host, the one and only Director of Police Services for the City of Memphis, Mr. Mike Rallings. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. How are you?
Man, I tell you, it's great. And as I tell people all the time, it's better to be viewed. No, that's wrong. It's better to be seen than viewed.
Better to be seen than viewed.
That's right. Because
I don't want to be viewed.
Well, I don't either. That's a bad deal on that day. Speaking of a bad deal, we've seen a whole lot that's occurred and for some time now around the country. You and I have been talking here on and off, and I guess since we've had our last conversation, school shootings. School shootings have become really, really prominent in our country, not in our city, thank God.
Yes.
And I know you've got a lot of colleagues around the country that you've probably been talking to, probably on some SWOT, some analysis on how they reacted. And can you give us a little bit of insight to what is triggering some of this stuff?
Yeah, there are a number of things. So the FBI recently released a report just kind of giving us a history of active shootings or school shootings, and to really remind us of the frequency and the severity of the problem. So Colonel Dave Grossman, who was a retired military colonel, did a whole bunch of research with a few other individuals that are probably the leaders in the nation, and he was ringing the bell for this 20 years ago.
Wow.
Talking about that we as a nation have to do something about it. So I'll just hit a couple of things, and obviously mental illness is an issue. The nation went in a what I think is the wrong direction many years ago. And shut down a lot of facilities that could treat individuals suffering from some type of mental illness in a residential fashion. And they really just kind of kicked them out on the streets, and law enforcement really had to start dealing with the mental illness problem. The other issue is the prevalence of violent video games. And you don't hear anybody talking about that anymore for some reason, but coming from the military, coming from law enforcement, we use video simulation to better train soldiers and police officers to use a deadly force. Well, our kids are doing it all day, every day, and they grow up over a period of time. It desensitizes them to violence, and it also teaches them to shoot and inflict violence. And so if a young person has been exposed to this almost their entire life, they don't see it the same. So, and I can go down a whole list of violent video games. There are too many, but parents buy them every Christmas, birthday, and often on the weekends. It's $1 billion industry. So if you think about mental illness, the video games, but we in the nation have a culture of violence. So as I go about my daily duties, if there's a violent incident, people immediately mention the mayor and the police director having to do something about this issue. And here's what I tell people. This is not an invasion from Mars. These are our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles committing these acts of violence. But we as a community still remain silent often on these most egregious acts.
Let me stop you right there. I want to make sure we point to mental illness, the histrionic way of us, you're absolutely right, shutting down a lot of those centers that we had, not only residential but also inpatient centers. I know that we've had even in our own city, but also the violent video games. Why have the legislature or the Congress, have they not regulated other than slapping an R or what I guess almost like the movies? You put a rating on it. But you can still go and purchase these things, and these young people are, like you said, they're getting the same kind of training that your people are getting.
Yes, but even more so. But the other issue is gun control. So again, we as a nation have refused to enact reasonable gun control, and a lot of people will scream about the Second Amendment. I'm an advocate for the Second Amendment, but we should, as a nation, as a community, cross party lines because, we have allowed just things to go way too far left or right, whichever way you want to call it. But we as a nation refuse, even after children are every month, it appears that some child, some person is a victim of an active shooting situation. So it's sad that we as a nation, even in the state of Tennessee, as our Tennessee state legislature continues to pass negative gun legislation, guns in cars. They passed everything gun they possibly can except constitutional carry, which comes up every single session. So while people often, want me to do something about it, I say, you know what, our officers are out patrolling every day. They're making arrests, they're working with the criminal justice system, but only 20% of our registered voters actually go cast a ballot. So here's my message to the community. First, you have to vote because the people that are in office, they enact legislation. The police director cannot enact any legislation. Either city council does it on a local level, our state legislature does it within the state of Tennessee, and I have to abide by the laws of the state. And our federal Congress, Senate, they elect federal legislation. If you don't vote, you are missing out. You don't have a voice. You can yell at the police director all you want to, but I don't make any legislation. So we as a nation need reasonable gun legislation. You have to pressure your state representatives, your congresspersons, your Senate. You have to pressure them to enact laws that help us.
Well, let me ask you this right quick. And while we're right here on Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network, you're a former retired military.
Yes.
Is there any reason, and I'm just asking this for a bunch of our listeners out there that want to know, is there any reason that the average citizen should have an AR-15 at home? I mean, just your personal opinion.
That's a tough question. So, because a lot of individuals use it for sport.
Okay.
And so I think that we as a nation have to attack, the background check issue. We need to close the gun show loophole. But the other issue is having tougher laws on individuals that commit acts with firearms. Again, the sports shooting industry is very big. I'm a competitive shooter.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm going to say that majority of individuals in the nation are law-abiding citizens. But those that commit these acts of violence, or they appear to show indicators, or they post threats on Facebook, even within the city, we've responded to almost 60, I think over 60 incidents where there was some type of threat at a school, business, or church. where we move in very quickly.
Yeah.
We take every threat seriously. So thank goodness, thank God in Memphis, we've not had those incidents. But it really takes a robust response from law enforcement, but it takes a response from citizens that see something and say something.
That's right.
If you see someone post a threat, you see someone acting strange, you see some big change in a person where they appear to become more radicalized. So if you look at a lot of these incidents, parents gave guns to individuals that had once been deemed maybe not needing to have guns, and they gave them back or their access. So, all those things matter. We can't pick one particular thing. We got to kind of look at all of them. There's a lot of evidence out there. But again, we as a nation, we have to all do our part. Citizens have to vote. Citizens have to hold me accountable, hold law enforcement accountable, but you have to hold your elected officials accountable because they enact legislation that either has a positive impact on your life or a negative impact on your life.
So to close this thing out, see something, say something.
Yeah, one more important thing,
Sure.
If you're in a situation where you suddenly hear the eruption of gunfire, we teach avoid, deny, and defend. If you can avoid it, don't go toward the shooter. Get out of there, run. Defend. If you can barricade a door, if you can lock a door, if you could, put yourself in a place where the shooter cannot get to you, then you need to defend and, deny. So it's avoid, deny access so the shooter can't get to you. But if that doesn't work and then you're suddenly face to face with an armed individual, you may have to fight. You're going to have to attack them with pencils, pens, anything you got, chairs, a microphone, a laptop, whatever, because you are fighting for your life. The FBI says something, run, hide, fight. We teach, avoid, deny, defend.
You heard it first right here from our own director. Avoid, deny, defend. On the Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Best in Blue.
Artivism.
Artivism features conversations with artists, creatives, and citizens working at the intersection of art and social activism. And I'm Linda Steele, your host. I'm a grant maker, change maker, social venture capitalist, and I invest in individuals and projects that use the arts as a vehicle for social change.
Artivism on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Best in Blue.
We've got with us the Lieutenant Tyrone Curry. Lieutenant, how are you, sir?
I'm very well.
So we'll teach them how to be good communicators.
The brainchild of our own police director right here in the city of Memphis.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, this is Colonel Sam Hines with MPD. You're listening to the Best in Blue, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
You're listening to Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network. I am DC, the host of the Best in Blue program, sitting in along with Director Mike Rallings, the Director of Police Services for the city of Memphis. Welcome back to Best in Blue, Director Rallings.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Speaking of Best in Blue, Best in Blue is not only a TV program, it's not only a podcast and radio show, but it's also a program that you've rolled out under your tutelage and your leadership to be a recruitment piece. You want to get the best that you can get on the police department, not only with your law enforcement officers, but also public safety technicians as well. Let's talk a little bit about the recruitment part.
Without a doubt. So recruitment and retention are two of the most important things that we have to do today. One is that we cannot continue to fight crime and try to reduce crime without rebuilding our police force. Yeah. So we're looking for individuals that are committed to their community. A lot of people express themselves on social media. They may, meet us at a town hall or community meeting. Some take to the streets and protest. And I tell folks, look, great. If you really want to make a difference in your community, then join us. Yeah. Okay. It's easy to criticize. It's easy to be a social media or a Facebook warrior, but we need boots on the ground. We need folks that are committed to their community, in the community, serving those that need police services more than anyone. And so we're looking for individuals that possess a great moral character, that are, for a police officer, you have to be 21 years of age, be a U.S. citizen, and you can't have any felonies. So You have to have a clean background and a good work history. But we want individuals that are committed to making a difference, and they can go to joinnpd.com. We are going to constantly have a class. We have a class now of 70 individuals. We're also hiring for police service technicians. To be a police service technician, you have to be 18 years of age, be a high school graduate, have a valid driver's license, and those young people, 18 years old, or some of them a little older, $26,000 a year. A police officer starts off in the academy somewhere around $43,000 a year. But young person, 18 years old, making $26,000 a year, and we will pay for your college.
Wow.
We'll pay for your college. And then it brings us to Blue Path. Blue Path is a little different program where we want to recruit individuals out of high school. We normally look at our high school seniors, make sure that they're signing up for the Tennessee Promise, and we want to start them on a career path, the Blue Path, so they can become the best in blue and become a police officer. You can only stay a police service technician for 3 years. They take accident reports, they write parking tickets, they help us on traffic details. But again, they're here to support the community and police officers so we can free up the officers to do some more serious kind of responses to calls. But again, what a great opportunity as a police service technician to start your law enforcement career. 18 years old, $26,000, pay for your college, put you on a career path.
I think I read somewhere where you said you didn't have a real major problem with the application piece or the applicants, but the qualified, did I read that correctly? I think the qualified ones who can go on to that next level. Let's just say maybe you get 2,000 applications. That's great, but 2,000 won't qualify. Am I right? And based on the criteria you just explained, that's the reason why.
That's right. So there are thousands and thousands of applications, but finding individuals that meet the qualifications, that's a challenge. So you have to be physically fit because you have to run.
Yes, sir.
You got to do push-ups and jump. You have to be able to display aptitude. So there's a number of tests that test your cognitive abilities. You have to have basic writing skills. We want to make sure that you went to school and you stayed awake and you got your diploma.
That's
so you have to have a high school diploma.
Yes, sir.
You have to have 2 years of college or military equivalent. We're looking at revising some of the standards because we want to make sure that we're giving individuals an opportunity and yet maintain the standards. So very critical. But again, they can go to joinnpd.com for more information. And, if you are ready to make a difference in your community, then you're the person we're looking for.
Well, and I think once before, I remember back in the day, Mike, when you and I were in college back in the day, I think the city of Dallas, they were always in Memphis, and you could always see something in the commercial appeal about them hiring police officers. But now, are we doing the same thing to Dallas and some of these other cities? Because they've done it to us, and I'd like to think that there's citizens out there across the country that wouldn't mind coming and living in a city like Memphis and to serve.
Yeah. So working with our human resources department, we are looking to expand recruiting. So yes, we travel all over the country. And so why do people come to Memphis to hire police officers? So I made a statement. It got me in a little trouble.
Yeah, I understand.
And I said that we need to ride or die with our police department. And here's what I meant. That you have a great police department, a great group of dedicated professionals. Sometimes the officers make mistakes. And just like your family or where you work at, you got a couple of folks that you wish were not there.
That's right.
Okay, so we don't want any bad apples. We do our job and try to weed those bad apples out. But we have a great police department. 99% of the officers are 1% dedicated to the citizens. So, we need to support our police department. The chiefs all over the nation recognize that we have great officers that are well trained and exposed to some of everything. They tell me, hey, Mike, man, I recruited some of those officers. They are good. Can you send me 10 more? And I say, hey, stay out of Memphis. Your folks show up, we're going to lock them up.
That's what we're going to do, lock them up.
But we joke about it. So all over the nation, we're fighting in the same pool.
Man, that's cherry picking
because it's hard to find individuals that want to do the job because there's so much scrutiny on law enforcement. and that can meet the standards and that want to stay in law enforcement because, here's a perfect example. Someone captured a picture of a police officer that nodded off. I don't know if the officer had nodded off for 5 seconds or 5 minutes.
That's right.
More people text and call me about that, snickled and joked about that, and I said, we're going to deal with that. That's easy. Here's my frustration. Not one single person sent me a sticky note, a text message, a phone call, pulled me to the side about who killed our precious children, little Mr. Richard Jordan. Nobody has ever called me.
But they want to throw some junk out there. And so I saw this guy sleeping. I saw him doing this. I saw him doing that. But we didn't have the information coming back to us on some of the things we have going on in our city.
And so here's someone I think about every single week, Layla Washington.
Oh,
yeah. Nobody. Everybody wanted to talk about. In the news, ran the story. I don't know how long about this officer sleeping and said, "How about y'all beating the bushes and helping us find these killers out here?"
Somebody knows
that are wreaking. Somebody knows, and people have not came forward. We owe that family. That if you know something, then you need to call Crime Stoppers. You can send a sticky note. You can send me a carrier pigeon. I don't care
how you get
it. But somebody knows. So we need to focus on what's important and get off the garbage.
Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Best in Blue.
Best in Blue.
That means we go to the schools, we go to the churches, we do all types of programs to try to build the relationship between law enforcement and the community.
Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN.
We're getting funky, y'all.
And we have to thank Dick Durbin for being strong enough to actually come out of the Oval Office and say, hey, by the way.
Because he didn't have to say it, did he?
He didn't have to say it,
and I appreciate it.
Because I tell people all the time, just because you skin folk don't mean you kin folk.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just because you skin folk, you ain't got to be kin folk.
It's Funky Politics on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN.
Best in Blue.
You're listening to Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network. I'm DC, your host of this program, and sitting in today with me is Director Mike Rallings, the Director of Police Services for the City of Memphis. Welcome, sir, to Best in Blue.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me back.
Man, I tell you, we got to get you back. I love having these conversations with you, and we were talking a little bit offline about some of the issues that are facing our nation, facing our city as well as our state. But also, there are some things that the police department has been, I guess you would say, an expert, maybe not an expert, but cutting edge. Police Activities League is one of those things. I know growing up in the city of Memphis back in the day, I remember when there was this boxing gym over off Exchange. And it was a police, police boxing gym that we could go over there. Now, I couldn't box. I got whipped every time I went over there. But, but those types of things that you all have done and I'm 50 now, it was over 30-something years ago, almost 40 years ago.
Yes, sir. So we've continued to do that. We still have a robust boxing program.
Yeah.
The gym is now over off Hollywood right there at the Fairground Stadium.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we still are out trying to recruit young men and women into boxing to teach them discipline, teach them boxing skills so they can defend themselves. But really it's more about teaching them how to grow up to be productive individuals. Recently, probably a few months ago, a young man that came under the MPD boxing program, he had 5 belts that he had won.
Wow.
And he actually let me hold it and put it on. So I felt like I was a boxing champion just by standing next to him. But, this program has made some incredible boxers that have gone on to win titles all over the United States. Some have competed in the Olympics. But again, we want to take individuals and motivate them, teach them physical fitness, discipline, and how to be productive citizens. And the boxing program is just one of many programs, many programs that we have. And that makes me think of our police, our PAL, our Police Activities League, where we're teaching kids sports. And again, the goal is to teach them discipline, teach them how to work as a team, teach them how to be something that's bigger than just themselves.
Sure.
And then what our COP unit is doing, working with communities and kids in the schools and the community centers. But here's something else great, DARE. DARE program is a great program. Each year, 1,800 middle school, elementary and middle schoolers are taught DARE, how to resist bullying, saying no to drugs, saying no to any negative activity, trying to teach them to grow up again to be productive citizens. And I get to speak to them, twice a year at the DARE culmination. So when you think about DARE, POW, what's going on at the boxing gym, what our COP unit is doing, and recently our COP unit hosted an all-girls summit. I think the numbers were somewhere around 1,700 girls from different high schools and middle schools, teaching them about, social media, bullying, how to just be ladies in general. And it was great going out there to see those young ladies out there, because I tell people this every day, that nobody outside of Shelby County schools and maybe some of these school systems touch more kids than the Memphis Police Department.
And that's not in a negative way. That's a positive way.
Nobody in a positive way. So I just need parents to do their part. We're going to do our part. Do your part. Every day somebody's bringing me something else that they want me to do, and I tell them I'd love to be able to do that. You get me 500 officers, I'll take on those new tasks. But we can only do so many things. But if you're a parent, fulfill your responsibility as a parent. We're going to fulfill our responsibility as a law enforcement agency.
Man, right here on Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network. And, Director, I've seen it, Craig Littles, who's Chief Visionary Office with POW, the work, and we've talked to him, the work that they're doing on that Police Activities League, and they're doing it with volunteers.
That's right.
They're doing it with, and a lot of them are volunteer officers who come off shifts, and they want to go and help with the cheerleading squad that you all have, the football teams that you have all over the city. And it's amazing, and as I said to you before, it looks like we're asking the police department in our city, and I'm assuming maybe in some other cities as well, we're asking the police department to be a social service agency.
We are, and it's just, it's the world we live in. So I tell you what, June 11, 2016, the former chief of Dallas, after the Dallas officers were killed.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Here's what he said. He said, we're asking cops to do too much in this country. We are. Every societal failure, we put it off on the cops to solve. Not enough mental health funding, let the cops handle it. Here in Dallas, we got a loose dog problem. Let the cops chase the dogs. School fails, let's give it to the cops. And he simply said, that is too much to ask. Policing was never meant to solve all those problems. So let me just say this. We are a partner. We know that, yes, we're asked a lot to do, but we're willing to take that challenge, but we can't do it alone. All of us have to work toward those goals. And so I'll just say that this summer, I applaud the administration, not just because I'm a part of it, but because I see it firsthand.
Yeah.
So the city of Memphis has developed a Summer in Memphis book. It's going to be at the libraries, at the community centers. And here's a beautiful picture of some young kids on there swimming, golfing, just having a great time. And so, you think about golf, the Green Line, going to parks, tennis centers, pools, splash parks, police boxing gym, Pink Palace Museum, Botanic Garden.
So you're telling me there's enough for our kids to do? There's enough.
Look.
And and you can get this book at the police precincts, right?
Yes. So
now.
I hear the kids don't have enough to do. When me and you were kids, we got kicked outside in the morning, and we made up stuff.
And you couldn't come back in.
You couldn't come back in until it was almost time to dark.
That's right.
And so, yes, the kids do have a lot to do. And so I just left the Boys and Girls Club. I want to give them a shout out. Incredible things.
Yeah.
They have a sound studio. Their sound studio, I hate to tell you,
it's better than this one?
I didn't say that.
Well,
so
I'll be talking to KUDZUKIAN, the producer of this show, about that.
You need to go check it out. So kids can come in there and they can mix and cut, and they have a sound booth. They can sing, the computer lab. And so they're just trying to teach them real skills, people skills. I tell people every day I do 4 things. I read, I write, I do math, and I talk to people. If you can master those things. Okay, and most of that stuff, guess what? I learned it as a child.
That's right.
How to read, write, and do math. We called it arithmetic. I quit saying that because when I'm talking to kids, they say,
"What is that?" They
don't know what you're talking about. They call it math.
Yeah.
Do math because you manage a $263 million budget, almost 2,700 civilian employees, cars, gas, facilities.
Yes.
You're doing math every day.
Yeah.
But learning how to talk to people and to check your attitude. Attitude would take you farther than aptitude. And sometimes the grades you make in school do not reflect your intelligence.
That's right.
You can move on and do great things. You can do more with your life than what you're seeing right now. Just don't put a limit. The sky's the limit.
You know what? I have known you for better than 30 years. I will say that I saw even back then at the then Memphis State University that he's an alpha. But he's going to be somebody. But he's an alpha, though. And that's a good thing.
That's right. Dr. King was an alpha.
That's right.
Thurgood Marshall.
You all like to throw that out there. You like to
we
throw
do.
that out there.
We talk about that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that part. But now, you know what? No, seriously, though, I saw it in you a long time ago.
Well,
and the leadership that you've exuded already with the Memphis Police Department, I know the officers look up to you and they say, we got somebody in our corner.
Well, I saw it in you too. So here's the deal. Here's what I tell my officers. We're all leaders.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I need you to lead.
Yeah.
I need you to be the best that you can be because I'm a reflection of the officers. So I don't do any. They do all the work. I'm just a guy at the top. Yeah. And I really let them know that I love them. I appreciate the sacrifice they make. But I love our citizens too.
Yeah.
And we can do better. I want you to do better. Hold me accountable, but hold yourself accountable too.
That's right.
You don't get a free pass and a police director gets put on Front Street. Okay? It's a double-edged sword. You are accountable for your actions. I'm accountable for my actions and the actions of the police officers. And if you need more about what you need to do with your child this year or some opportunities, you can go to the City of Memphis website. You just put City of Memphis in your web browser and look under Youth Services, or you can go to memphistn.gov for more information. But there's plenty for our children to do.
On that note, the Director Mike Rallings of the Memphis Police Department right here in the city of Memphis, Tennessee on Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Best in Blue.
This is the lead recruiter with the Memphis Police Department, Officer Kevin Moore. Join the Best in Blue. Our requirements are achievable. Our standards are the highest. Our officers are the finest. We are the Best in Blue. Join MPD.com.
Best in Blue.
Riffin' on Jazz.
I'm Howard Robertson, one of your hosts for Riffin' on Jazz. Riffin' is your weekly visit with friends where we dive all in to that classic African-American art form called jazz. So don't miss Riffin' with me and my man Melvin Massey every week on your favorite broadcast and podcast platforms.
Riffin' on Jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN.
You know, it's always good to be able to sit in dialogue with your director. That's right, folks. The director of the Memphis Police Department was right here sitting next to me talking about some of the great issues that are facing not only our city, but facing our nation as well. And you know what? I think we're better for it. So check us out. Make sure you always stay with the Best in Blue right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Best in Blue on the KUDZUKIAN Network.